The sun dipped low over the great city of Alexandria, casting a golden glow over the marble edifices that lined the shores of the Mediterranean. Cleopatra Serpent. Philopater, daughter of Ptolemy XII, stood on the balcony of the royal palace, her gaze fixed on the vastness of the sea. At just 18, she was already a queen, but the weight of the crown felt like an ancient stone, pressing down upon her. Her father had passed only weeks before, leaving her to rule alongside her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. Tradition demanded they reign as co-monarchs. Yet Cleopatra knew that true power was rarely shared. Her mind, sharp and cunning, had already begun to weave the threads of a plan to secure her throne. But tonight her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of footsteps. Turning, she saw a figure emerge from the shadows. It was Apollodorus, her most trusted advisor. "My queen," he said, bowing low. "The envoys from Rome have arrived. They seek an audience." Cleopatra's heart quickened. Rome, the looming shadow that threatened the independence of Egypt. She had heard whispers of the young general, Gaius Julius Caesar, and the political games that played out in the Senate. She knew that her future, and that of her kingdom, might well depend on how she navigated this delicate relationship. "Very well," she replied, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. "I will meet them." As she walked through the opulent halls of the palace, her mind raced. The Roman Senate had supported her brother's claim to the throne, weakening her position. She needed to win them over, to charm them as she had charmed so many before. But these were Romans, proud, powerful, and unpredictable. Entering the audience chamber, Cleopatra was greeted by the sight of the envoys. Stern men draped in togas, their faces etched with the hardness of those accustomed to wielding power. Cleopatra approached them, her posture regal, her gaze unwavering. "We bring greetings from the Senate of Rome," one of them began, his voice cold and formal. "And we come with a message of support for the rightful ruler of Egypt, Ptolemy XIII." Cleopatra's heart sank, but she masked her disappointment with a smile. "I am honored by the Senate's attention," she replied, her tone honeyed with diplomacy. "And I am confident that Rome's wisdom will see the value in a strong and united Egypt." The envoy's eyes narrowed. Indeed, unity is what Rome seeks. But unity under the leadership of a ruler who is stable. The insult was subtle but clear. Cleopatra felt the sting of it, but she refused to let it show. Instead, she leaned forward, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "You speak of stability, yet Rome itself is in turmoil. Civil war brews and alliances shift like the sands of the desert. A wise man would look to strengthen his position with strong allies." The envoys exchanged glances, their stony facades cracking ever so slightly. Cleopatra had struck a nerve. "But tell me," she continued, "what do you think will become of Egypt if it is divided by strife? A weakened Egypt serves no one, least of all Rome." There was a pause, and for a moment, Cleopatra felt a flicker of hope. But then the lead envoy straightened, his expression hardening once more. "We will relay your words to the Senate," he said. "But understand this, Queen Cleopatra. Rome does not take kindly to those who challenge its decisions." With that, the envoys turned and left the chamber, their departure as abrupt as their arrival. Cleopatra stood alone in the vast room, the echoes of their footsteps fading into silence. She knew she had made an impression, but had it been enough? The Romans were formidable adversaries, and she was only beginning to understand the extent of their power. As she returned to her chambers, her thoughts turned to the future. She needed to secure her position, not just as a co-ruler, but as the true power in Egypt. The Romans had made their move, now it was her turn. But as she lay down to sleep, a sense of unease settled over her. The game she was playing was dangerous, and the stakes were higher than she had ever imagined. Yet Cleopatra was no ordinary queen. She was a serpent in the garden of power, and she would strike when the moment was right. In the dead of night, Cleopatra awakens to the sound of rustling in the darkness. A shadow moves across her chamber, and she reaches for the dagger beneath her pillow, her heart pounding. Who has dared to enter the queen's sanctuary, and what do they want?